How's it going, guys? And welcome back to BL3's Forgotten, the series where I take a look at underused and not often talked about pieces of gear to determine whether or not they deserve to be remembered within the modern meta of the game or should be left behind and forgotten. And today we are taking a look at the Atlas Replay. If you'd like to farm the Atlas Replay for yourself, you're going to want to fast travel over to the Darkthirst Dominion on Pandora, bringing along at least 500 Iridium, as you are going to have to take on Hemovorus, who of course, once killed, can drop you the Atlas Replay. And it is worth noting that the drop chance from Hemovorus does increase the higher that your Mayhem level is. However, Hemovorus is not the only method, as all of the DLC 6 enemies have a chance to world drop this, including Sumo, Gravekeeper, Beef Pliston, and the Seer, with the Atlas Replay also being able to be dropped from the True Trial Sarah of Supremacy. The Atlas Replay is a legendary Atlas pistol, unable to roll in any of the elements and dealing splash damage. The unique effect of the Atlas Replay is tied to its tracking mode, firing out 15 tracking darts in an arc in front of you, with these darts being able to pass through walls. For every enemy tracked by these darts, the Atlas Replay will gain an increase to its fire rate. Final thing to note here is that while it does deal splash damage, it cannot roll with any splash damage anointments. Now, some of you may be surprised to see the Atlas Replay in this series, as it does still have a bit of a fan base. However, it has drastically fallen off from where it once was. The replay did get a brief time in the spotlight around the release of DLC 6, being one of the most commonly used guns next to fucking Power Creep the Third over there. Look at him, fucking pathetic, acting like he's the third coming of Christ when the second already did it better. Anyways, that spotlight didn't really last too long. People moved on to other things, which is a damn shame considering there's really not that many options for Atlas, and even less of which can keep up in the meta, and even then the only one that ever gets talked about is the OPQ. But that doesn't mean that's the only one that should be talked about. This thing does actually have damage to rival the Radical. Rival a lower rolled Radical. But that is still an incredibly impressive base damage on top of being splash and on top of having some insane fire rate potential. Against a lot of the really strong gear in this game, this damage number doesn't seem like anything too special, but when you look at the DPS potential of this, that damage number is insane for the fire rate that you can gain. Damn, we rhyming today, I guess. But of course, this does mean that this is able to keep up in all of the endgame content and can carry you through anything that you need it to. The biggest drawback to this gun is that it does reload a lot, but the reload speed is incredibly good, especially with a few bonuses you'll barely notice it. It sort of just ends up feeling like a burst fire. But because of how good the base damage is, if it really did bother you, you could just go for a higher mag size roll to kind of alleviate that somewhat, which would especially be recommended if you were using this on a build with some sort of ammo regen, just so you could maybe sustain it a little bit longer. Now, there is another gun that I usually see brought up with the replay, or the replay gets brought up when talking about this gun, and that is, of course, the multi-tap, so let's talk about those two guns together real quick. I think a lot of people see these guns, see an Atlas pistol that is kind of ideal for big AoE spread, and think that they're about the same, but actually they function entirely differently and are different enough that they can hold their own niches. The multi-tap has a higher base damage, and it has splash and elemental on its reload rocket. That is way better synergy with extra projectiles though, as the projectile split that the multi-tap has is unlisted and duplicates everything. If you tag 5 enemies with the multi-tap and have a bonus projectile on that, you will be getting 10 projectiles, 2 to each. Along with that, it also has a better time for single targets since the fire rate isn't tied to the amount of enemies nearby. Again, these do have a similar function, high AoE room clearing Atlas pistols, but the difference is that the builds that they slot into, less splash focused with bonus projectiles, the multi-tap is your man, but if you have a splash focus or no bonus projectiles, the replay's probably gonna sweep. That being said, it's not terrible with bonus projectiles, as it is still a single target weapon and therefore will be fully duplicating the projectiles. It just doesn't have the same type of synergy as the multi-tap does. But this is how you do similar guns without them overlapping in their niche. Both of these guns fill the same role but do it for different types of builds and function in very different manners. Both are incredibly unique, incredibly fun, have specific synergies and downsides to each of them, while also staying on the same power level as each other. Both of them are incredibly similar, and I really cannot say one is better over another, which is why it kind of comes down to build preference, but even more than that, it's just personal preference between which of these you like more. Overall, the Atlas Replay is an absolutely incredible gun, and it for sure holds up against a lot of the top meta gear. This thing will immediately wipe an entire fair area of enemies if you tag enough of them, and while you will be reloading a decent amount, that reload time isn't that big of a deal. Lots of damage, lots of AoE, lots of fucking fun. There's not really much bad to say about the Atlas replay. That's gonna about do it for this one though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all of that. I will be live right after this video goes up, right here on YouTube and also over my Twitch channel, where there will be a link to down in the description below, and just under that is a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.